everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And this is the Player in Focus show. After I did the ratings yesterday from the 1-0 win against West Ham at Old Trafford, I didn't do a vote this time. Dan James was getting that much stick. I said that I was going to do a joint show between Dan James and Marcus Rashford. Obviously, Dan James played wide on the right and Marcus played wide on the left. And Dan James gets the vitriol that's levelled against him at people saying how poor he is. They don't actually use the phrase his decision making is poor. They tend to say that he lacks football intelligence. I really don't see it. So what I've done for this show, which I said I would do, is I'm comparing the two wide players in our team to each other. And the best way to do it, I believe, what you need in your team is you do need, when people say lacking football intelligence, you do need footballers who have got good footballing intelligence. You need players who do understand the importance of looking after the ball, the importance of passing it well, the importance of making themselves available to receive a pass. There's all different things that go into making an intelligent footballer. And watching that game, as I watched it, I didn't think that Dan James was the least intelligent of our two wingers. That's the way it comes across to me when I watch the game closely. I make no apologies for saying this. I often get said to me, why do you say such a player, does something shocking and somebody else does something awful, and then with other players, I don't say it was quite so shocking. There's a simple answer. I believe some of the players do shocking things a lot more often than other players do. And in Dan James's case, who's been getting such stick, really, for his performance in that game, as he does virtually every time he plays, I really don't see it. So I've done a few clips of each player, 6 or 7 clips of each player, showing the poorer things. And you can look at them, and obviously I'm going to give you my opinion, but you can make your own mind up as to which of the two wingers was poorer, and which of the two wingers made the wrong decisions more often, which in my opinion shows a lack of footballing intelligence. Now, you might not want to hear that when I'm levelling it at the player that I'm levelling it at, but why is it fair for so many thousands of fans to level it at a given player who I believe his football intelligence is perfectly fine? When I talk about football intelligence, I've made a couple of notes here. Decision making is the most important thing. And then when you're deciding if somebody's decision making in any given situation is okay, this is when you're deciding, because I'm going to put 6 or 7 clips up, you need to take into account different things. First of all, is it a good decision? Is it the right decision? Secondly, the difficulty of a situation. What you have got to try and cut out is players giving the ball away. They call it giving the ball away cheaply. They don't use that phrase for no good reason. You hear the pundits and top ex-managers and ex-pros regularly saying, we gave that away cheaply. You need to not give it away cheaply. Giving it away when you're under a little bit of duress, under pressure, players around you in difficult situations, that's different to giving a ball away cheaply when there's no given reason for giving the ball away. Another thing to take into account is the difficulty of what you try. You can take that into account, but that's partly a little bit to do with decision making as well. If you decide to do something that's more difficult, sometimes it's a worthwhile. You need to balance up risk and reward. If you're making a risk, one of the passes I'm going to show from Marcus, the possible outcome, how good can it be? What's the point of a really long, difficult pass to someone who's going to have difficulty controlling it, difficulty making anything of it if he gets it? You need to balance the risk and reward. When you do make a pass that's a difficult pass, A, is there a more simple pass on? And if there is, B, is it worth the risk? If you're going to give that ball away or try and make that risky pass, was it worth trying to make that risky pass? What was the chances of it coming off? And what are the possible outcomes if it does come off? And fourthly, I'm sure there are other things as well, just just if somebody is too sloppy in possession, are they taking enough care on the ball or with the passing? So, like I say, I think there's about 6 or 7 clips from each player, and I'm starting with Dan James. Clip number 1 is in the first half. I've gone through it with a fine tooth comb, by the way, and I believe that if anything, this is Dan James's first mistake in the whole of the half, and it's in the 45th minute. I don't believe he's made a single solitary mistake in the whole of the half of the game until this moment. And even this moment, I think it's harsh. I think it's harsh to say that it was poor play. It receives the ball from Marcus, is just in the D or maybe just into the penalty box. The pass from Marcus is perfectly fine. It's just in front of him. It's only a short pass. By the time he takes his touch, obviously he's got to take a touch, so he takes a touch. When he takes a touch, there's 2 defenders directly in front of him. He turns, he does a full circle, well, not a full circle, it's 180 degrees. I think for a moment there might be a pass on back out of the box, but just by the time he's turned, Declan Rice is blocking his way back out of the box and he turns back into trouble, but he's literally got 5 or 6 men round him. This is the first time he does anything wrong in the whole of the half, and I think it's harsh to say that it was the things that I've said. Where's that little list? I don't think his decision to take a touch was poor. There wasn't much else he could do but try and keep hold of the ball by beating men. The difficulty of the situation he was in, it was a really difficult situation. And was it sloppy play? I don't think so. I don't think there was much else he could have done whatsoever. Clip number 2 is in the 57th minute. He loses it twice in this clip, and so there's virtually an hour gone. It's the 57th minute. The ball gets played to him down the line. I don't think it's a bad decision to try and help it on. He tries to help it on. I can't quite remember who's down the line from him. He tries to help it on, but it hits the full back, bounces in front of him. He chases the loose ball, and he does get to it first, but him and Noble are there at the same time, and Noble gets his body between Dan James and the ball. So that's the 57th minute, and I believe that 57th minute is the first time where you could definitely say Dan James should have done better, and it was a pretty poor piece of play. Clip number 3 is the 63rd minute. This is a ball that's played up to him with a defender on his back. He tries to take a touch, but the defender's a bit too strong for him, gets a foot in, and he loses the ball. I promise you this is true, I'm actually scraping the barrel a little bit, looking for poor pieces of play by Dan James. I haven't included, for example, 2 crosses that he put in that people are saying he shouldn't have crossed it because there was nobody in the box. I'm not including those. I believe they were good pieces of play. I believe it was the right moment to cross the ball. On one occasion, Greenwood stalled his run, like I mentioned this on a different show, like Anthony Martial did the other week, and Anthony Martial got castigated for stalling his run, and the ball flashed across the 6-yard box. So he put 2 crosses in, one of which was where Mason Greenwood was attacking the 6-yard box, but then stopped. So that was the same as what happened the other week. I don't believe it's a bad thing to cross it. People saying it was poor. And another one where he crossed it, he managed to keep it away from the keeper, but the keeper dived down and got 2 hands to it and palmed it into the box. There was nobody coming into the box. So there's 2 crosses where people have said it was poor, and I think they're wrong. I think he did the right thing to cross it, so I've not included them. So this clip, the 63rd minute, like I say, I'm scraping the barrel looking for poor things. So he's taken a touch, he's been outstrengthed, he's lost the ball. And that happens even to the strongest players with the back to defenders. Even Anthony Martial doesn't win every ball, but that clip's up there. Make your own mind up. It's just a ball played up to him and he gets beat and he gets outstrengthed by the man who's behind him. Clip number 4, he tries to beat Cresswell, but Cresswell managed to get a foot out, blocks his run, it bounces back off Cresswell, so he's tried to beat his man, not succeeded, but he's retrieved the ball immediately and passed it to Greenwood. Again, not so bad, but these are the worst bits. These are the worst bits of Dan James. That's the fourth bit. And three of them, I don't think are too bad. And these are the worst bits. The fifth, clip number 5. This is the one that everyone's banging on about. Is pass to Bruno. So this is the second bit where I think he should have done better. It's only 2 though. And it's the 74th minute this. He nicks the ball himself, by the way, and goes, you know, hairs into their half like he does. He looks to his left, he sees Bruno. So let's look at the different things. Decision making. People talk about the football brain. On one hand, they're saying football brain. Decision was fine. Decision was absolutely fine to pass it to Bruno. The difficulty of a situation. How easy is the pass? It's an easy pass to hit the target, but he does hit the target. It's not quite so easy to actually get it perfectly into his stride. It's not like there's a lot of space for Bruno to run into. If you go on a breakaway and you've got a teammate that's run, I've seen some of our players, some of our more favoured players, get simple passes wrong where they've got a teammate who's running into space. And you've only got to play it in front of him. You've got more room for error. If you can play the ball 10 yards in front of somebody, and it doesn't matter if it's 5 or 8 or 10 or 11 yards in front of him, you've got more room for error. And I still see some of our players get that wrong. In this instance, Bruno's racing towards their defenders. He's got 7 or 8 yards between him and their defenders. So James's pass has basically got to be spot on. At the most, it needs to be 2 yards in front of Bruno, and it goes straight to him rather than being 2 yards in front of him. So, it wasn't as easy as some people make out. I've seen lots of our players, really favoured players, make a hash of easier passes. So, was it sloppy? That's my fourth bit on there. Was it? I don't think it was sloppy. No, I think he just saw him and tried to pass it to him. It wasn't a bad decision, and I think he was a little bit unlucky, but that's the one that everybody's on his case about. I think they're on his case about it because it was such a good breakaway, such a dangerous situation. But that's the fifth clip, and I believe it's only 2 of the 5 clips where he should have done a lot better. And none of the 5 clips, by the way, show a lack of footballing intelligence. You know, a couple of them have gone wrong, but it's not because he took the wrong decision or did something wrong. It really isn't. Clip number 6, he gets beaten easily by Cresswell. Cresswell runs into the box in our penalty area. Dan James tries to hold him at bay to stop him getting into the box, but he manages to get into the box, gets the ball across. Obviously, they could have scored from it. So that is a particularly poor piece of play. And I don't think that's even one of the type of things that a lot of people level at him. Again, if you look at the different things, difficulty of a situation, well, every now and again, you see Wan-Bissaka get dribbled past. So, you know, it is a difficult situation. He is a winger. Cresswell's a good player. Decision making, he didn't do anything wrong. He's trying to track him, trying to stop him. So again, is it sloppy? I don't think it's sloppy play. Every now and again. But some people might say, oh, you're defending your man. I'm not defending my man. So he gets beaten by somebody who gets in the box and gets a crossing. It happens to everybody. So, you know, if it would have happened 4 or 5 times in the game, I'd be saying, wow, that's not good enough. He's got to defend better than that. So, you know, he gets beaten once and Cresswell gets a ball into the box that could have led to something. And that is clip number 6, which is the last clip of Dan James. So there's not too many really poor things, and there's certainly nothing to me that shows a lack of footballing intelligence. I'm going to do 2 threads or one. I'll tell you what, I'll try and fit them all on one thread. I'll put them all on one thread. So the first 6 are Dan James. Now I'm looking at Marcus's game. Clip number 1, he gets the ball from McTominay. He runs at their defenders. He must run 30 yards with the ball. All the time that he's running with the ball, he's got Luke Shaw free to his left-hand side. Some people, when I say we need to pass the ball more simply, a lot of people come on there sort of saying to me, oh, he just wants to pass it sideways, he wants to pass it. That's not what passing it backwards, passing it sideways. When that's all you've got on, yes, that's fine. But I want us to play simple football like the best teams do when we're attacking. And he's got to realise that when he's got a player, especially a player like Luke Shaw, free to your left in lots of space, You've got to give him that ball. What Luke Shaw must think, I really don't know. And he ends up running into trouble. He tries to force a pass between two players to Mason Greenwood, who's in front of him, just outside the penalty area. At that moment, I think he's just about at the avenue cut off, but the avenue to Shaw has been on all the way that he's been running with the ball until he's ended up in trouble. So getting back to the list of things, is it sloppy? Yes, it's sloppy. Is it a difficult situation? No, not while he's running with the ball. No, it's not a difficult situation. And is his decision making poor? Is there a little bit of a glimmer there of a lack of footballing intelligence? Yes, there is to me. It's poor decision making. Got to pass that ball to Luke Shaw when you're running at two defenders and the defenders are drawn towards the ball. Don't forget, this is part of the game. When they get drawn towards that ball, you want to use that man who's in space. That's got to improve. I make no apology for saying it. As I said earlier, people are saying, why did you say that about him? Well, I've just shown you all the worst things that Dan James is. I don't see a single thing where I've got to say, that's horrendous, that is shocking, he's got to do better. That first clip of Marcus, it's horrendous. He's got to do better. Clip number two is a pass from Bruno, I believe. It's about, I don't know, two or 3 feet off the floor. He's stretching for it, but not overstretching it. This is Marcus again. It is his left foot. I've watched it a couple of times. I think you need to watch it 2 or 3 times to decide. But I can't quite tell whether he's trying to control it or whether he's trying to pass it straight through. I do believe that he reaches it comfortably enough that if he's trying to control it, he should control it. It's a terrible attempt at controlling it. And if he's trying to pass it, it's a terrible attempt at trying to pass it. You might think I'm being harsh. Make your own mind up. I think he reaches the ball comfortably enough that he should do a lot better. He's about 2 yards outside the box and it bounces off him really hard. It's not a hard ball. I don't think it's a difficult ball to take and it goes straight through to the keeper. I think it's a little bit sloppy. Clip number 3. This is in his own half. I'm always talking about a striker like Anthony Marshall who showed you how to do it, take a touch. The ball's played up to Marcus. It's a crowded half. There are players around, but the man who's behind him, which is the important one, is 2 or 3 yards behind him. He's got that second, that split second, the time that a top striker needs to get hold of that ball. And that player can then come up behind you and maybe foul you, but you've not got to give that ball away cheaply. You've got to get hold of it. That's the idea of a striker, and he doesn't get hold of it. He tries a first time pass to his right. There's too many players around. It looks like it's aimed for Dan James, by the way. We just spoke about the pass to Bruno that went straight to Bruno rather than being a little bit in front of him. I think you can tell on this one. All right, people get frustrated by that one for numerous reasons. First of all, because it's Dan James, the one earlier. But secondly, because it was a goal-scoring opportunity if it would have worked. Excuse me. So, on this occasion, this pass, if it gets cut out too easily, it's poor. It gets cut out too easily, and if it doesn't get cut out, you can tell, follow the trajectory of the ball, it's going to be a couple of yards behind Dan James, let alone straight at him. Clip number 4 for Marcus is the header that he missed. Don't need to say a lot about that. They've covered it enough on the TV. He does need to work on his heading. He's got to do better there. He's got to test the keeper. But his heading's poor in general, if I'm honest. This show's not about him in general, to be fair. But his header was pretty poor, and he should, if not score it, he's got to test the keeper. Clip number 5. This is just inside the centre circle. Dead easy ball comes to him. And again, I think it's meant for Dan James, who's about 10 or 15 yards to his right. It's really, really poor, very sloppy. I won't say it's necessarily the wrong decision. I think he's aiming it at James. It's a little bit difficult to tell because the pass is that bad. but I think he's aiming it at James, but it's really, really sloppy. It gets cut out easily, and there's, there's that little weight on the pass. I don't think it would have made it through. I don't think it'd have reached Dan James if it wouldn't have got cut out. That's clip number 5. Clip number 6 is a long ball that he plays. This is one that I'm talking about, where you need to weigh up the risk and reward and what the benefits are. It's a long cross-field ball aimed at Dan James. I think it's a poor decision. I don't see the benefit in it. Have a look at it. What do you think is the best thing that can come from it? Dan James is all the way over on the left wing. He hasn't got other players, United players, anywhere near him to help out if he manages to kill it. And I think it's a difficult ball to pull off, and it veers terribly and goes straight through to the goalkeeper. Really, it's a really poor attempt at it. And in my opinion, it's not how I would want my players playing. I don't think it's a good decision to play that long ball. And clip number 7, this is the final one on Marcus. Again, he runs into trouble. The second time, Shaw is on his left all the way while he's running up with the ball, and he just runs into trouble and gets dispossessed really easily. Runs into 2 men, and again, all the time that he's running with the ball, Shaw is free to his left. He's got to start using Luke Shaw better. People keep talking, Gary Neville in commentary in particular, the left-hand side is the danger area. The left-hand side is the danger area because Luke Shaw's on the left-hand side. Marcus needs to give him the ball more. So that's that. So that's clip number 7. So I think there's 13 clips there. I think there's 6 clips of Dan James. I can't find enough bad things to show about him. And there's 7 of Marcus's. A couple of things that I've shown of Dan's, by the way, there's 2 instances where Marcus loses the ball where he gets challenged from behind. But if I put those sort of things on as well, there's just too many clips. I'm scraping the barrel to find poor things by Dan, and not so much for Marcus. So they talk about Dan James not having a lack of footballing brain or football intelligence. From what I see, they're aiming it at the wrong person. And what people keep saying, you're forever criticising this player and that player. I just wish these players would stop giving me the opportunity. Not the opportunity, that sounds like I'm looking to do that. I'm not looking to do that. When I watch the game, I'm watching Manchester United. I want all our players to look after the ball well. I want them to pass it well. I want them to only take on risky passes if it's a worthwhile risk, the possible outcome if the pass works, and also taking into account the chances of it working. Long balls over the top, for example. Okay, they work very occasionally, but it's no good if you're going to try 40 balls over the top before you get a goal out of it. I'd sooner we played 40 short passes and end up getting 4 or 5 goals out of moves. We've got to start just playing better, cutting out silly, sloppy football, showing better decision making, using a football brain. That's what we need to do. So when people say, you keep doing it, I only keep doing it because they keep doing it. It's no other reason. I wish I didn't have the possibility to go through a game and say such a player or such a player did 6 or 7 terrible things, or as people don't like me saying, horrendous things. I wish they weren't there so that I couldn't say them. And they're not there for so many of the players, so I don't know what you want me to do. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. They need to cut it out, and if they don't cut it out, it's going to give me reason to point it out. It's as simple as that. I hope you've enjoyed that show. I'll be back tomorrow with a little bit of a preview of the AC Milan game. We need to get, we've got to score at least 1 goal, whatever happens. Even a 1-1 draw would get us extra time out of it. And if it goes to extra time, we're the only ones that can get an away goal. Away goals still count double. So a 1-1 draw, it'd be fine. A 1-1 draw tomorrow would give us a good chance of getting through. So I'd settle for a 1-1 draw if that was the way it's to go, because they've got players back. It's going to be a tough game. As I say, I'll be back tomorrow previewing that game, and I think, the squad have travelled today. I'll have a stab at what I think the team might be, and probably name a team that I'd pick out of the players that are available. So that's that. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, Don't tell anybody. Keep stum.